This is a massive report that has Texans fans fired up as we discuss the expectations that CJ Stroud has put for himself for the upcoming 2025 NFL season. And it is good to hear. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Texans Digest. I am your host, Donovan Ricondo. And if you want to stay up to date on all your Texans news throughout the entire NFL season, week 1 to week 17, and hopefully some playoff action, this is the channel for you. We're going to have constant videos for you guys to watch regarding your favorite H-Town team. So if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button below. But as far as today, we are talking about CJ Stroud. He's QB1 here in Houston. He is an absolutely insanely talented quarterback. I, for one, am happy that we have a guy like CJ Stroud. I'm a huge fan of him as a player, as a person, as a representative of the Houston Texans organization. I think he's a absolutely perfect fit. And he recently gave some comments about the third season of his in the NFL. And the kind of narrative going around CJ Stroud is about last season, right? He had a bit of what some say is sophomore slump, didn't have as much of a good year compared to his rookie season. And the numbers prove that exactly, right? He played 17 games in 2024 and he played only 15 games in 2023, but the numbers in his rookie year are much, much better than his second year. He had a higher completion percentage just by a little bit, but nevertheless higher. He threw for 400 more yards, 8.2 per throw, 23 touchdowns compared to 20. He had 5 interceptions his rookie year, which is just absolutely crazy to me, throwing only 1 interception per 3 games. That is very, very impressive. And overall, his rating and QBR was higher his rookie season. Now, there's a lot of things to blame for that, right? There's a lot of things to put that on, right? There's the offensive line, and then there's also Bobby Slowick, who was fired and replaced by Nick Caley. And so you can, put that on them. But at the same time, these are the numbers that CJ Stroud is putting up. These are the numbers that he has on his resume for the rest of his life, right? Ultimately, the QB has to make the leap at some point. And there are still a lot of concerns with this offensive line, right? There's some good news with Ariante Ursary. It's very good to see him thriving in that new tackle position, as well as, the rest of the offensive line as it develops throughout the offseason. So there's still a big question of whether or not this offensive line is at least going to be average, right? There's still the case that they could either be the worst in the league or that they could be somewhat good and give CJ Stroud just more time to work and throw the football. Obviously, Nick Caley's installing a new offense, and CJ Stroud commented on it, and we'll get to that in just 1 second. So maybe this new offense could give them some more versatility and variety within their pass and run attack. But nevertheless, CJ Stroud is not succumbing to those sophomore slump narratives if he does not think about it, right? That last year was last year. And he had this to say recently that I want to take you towards. He said, I really try not to harp back on last year. I learned my lessons and I don't know what people expect from me. But that's a whole different conversation. But I do believe that I am still a great player. And he absolutely is. He is a top 10 QB in the NFL, regardless of what some other analysts may say. He is a top 10 QB in the NFL. Now, with that said, there are some top 10 QB in the NFL things that he must do this season. And one of those things is throw for 4,500 yards. That is a big number. I understand that's a big number. And I just said there are questions regarding this offensive line. But if you want to solidify yourself as a player that is a great player in the NFL, which I certainly think he is, and I think if he had the best offensive line in the NFL, he would absolutely do that. But even with what you're given, I still think that is the expectation for him this season. The reason why I say 4,500 yards is because that is what his AFC counterpart QBs have done in their first 3 seasons, right? Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, all threw for 4,500 yards within their first 3 seasons in the NFL. And so I feel like that is a reasonable take. I feel like that is something that is an expectation that CJ Stroud can have. Hopefully, this new offense can provide some of that and give him that opportunity to do that. All that is still TBD, right? This team offensively is still a giant TBD. We're going to see what is going to transpire, especially with the running back situation with Joe Mixon apparently not playing in the first 4 games is not a good sign, right? And so the offense is going to have to adapt from what they were planning on all offseason into week 1 against the Los Angeles Rams. But nevertheless, CJ Stroud is keeping a positive mindset. He's talking about his next season. I do think I'm still a top quarterback in this league, he says. I've put it on tape. I just think things around me haven't always been the best just because of injuries, so that hasn't been easy. But I still believe in myself. I know my team does, my family does, and I think that's all that really matters. And if there's one thing you take from this video today, it's this quote right here. This is why I'm such a big fan of CJ Stroud. This is why I have the jersey. This is why I love that he is a representative of the Houston Texans, because he is such a phenomenal guy who has his mind in the right spot, in the right place. This is exactly the mindset you have. He acknowledged that, yes, things have not been great. There have been injuries with the wide receiver core. There's been offensive line issues. So much that has put him in a position to not have such a great year last year, right? Like, he did not have the year he had because of all these factors. But at the same time, he's like, my family's got me. I got me. Everyone's got me. We're all good. We're all good. We're just going to keep going through it. We're going to keep going, and we're going to do as best as we can. And that is exactly what I want to hear as a Texans fan. That is an absolute great thing to hear. And about the offense, he did comment about the offense as well regarding the new offense that Nick Caley has inserted in Houston, and he's very, very excited about it. He says it's exciting. It's very great. Caley comes from a different style than I'm used to, at least in the NFL. So it's cool just to learn something new and put another tool in my toolbox. Being able to see things that maybe coaches don't see. Being on the field, I'm able to have a different point of view. I think that'll be helpful for our guys. And this is all very, very great to hear, to see CJ Stroud kind of intake this new offense and see how it is going to work for them for this next season. But CJ Stroud has big leaps to make, right? He is still trying to follow up on the momentum and the excitement of that first season, right? When he went absolutely off. We caught a lot of people kind of off guard of how quickly he was able to find success. But I do think that is realistic, right? We have revamped this wide receiver room. You know, Manti Te'o recently said on NFL Network that, Nick Caserio saw that they had wide receiver problems in terms of injuries last season. So he was like, I'm going to make sure this is never going to happen again. And he got a bunch of wide receivers. He drafted 2 last year, Iowa State wide receivers. Good to have them on the team as well. You get Christian Kirk. You still have Nico Collins. And so wide receiver-wise, I think we are okay. Hopefully no injuries happen. Hopefully, if they do, recoveries are made as quick as possible. I understand we're making changes to the offensive line. Again, on Ariante Ursary, rookie who's making waves on the line is a great thing. And taking advice from Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. Those are all good signs, right? Those are all good things, and that they should be happening. It means that development is happening. In terms of, is that going to turn into like us being a good offensive unit come week 1? That seems to be the question, right? That seems to be the question of whether or not that is all going to come into fruition. But if anybody's got us, it is CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud, as many of you know, is an absolute dog, and hopefully he can get this team going with the offense just through his talent as well. But that is kind of my expectation for CJ Stroud, is those 4,500 yards for this season. Can he do it? It's a big question, but I do want to see some leaps being made. I do want to see some very impressive things from the third-year quarterback. Again, he's still very young, still a lot to learn, but at the same time, things must be done if you want to be considered a great player in the NFL, which I still think he is. But let me know in the comments, do you think this is a reasonable expectation? Do you think it's just unreasonable because the offensive line is just one big giant question mark? Let me know in the comments. I'm excited to see what you guys say. Until next time, I'm your host, Donovan Ricondo. So long.